Should I start?
Okay.
Yeah.
We are very happy to invite Dr. Anshul Mel, the expert in the digital dentistry and implantology, and we are very interesting to see this beautiful lecture about 5-in-1. The stage is for you, Doctor.
Thank you, Fan, for introduction. So today I'm going to present not a beautiful, handsome lecture. Okay, so I hope everyone is fine because all are going through the pandemic which we are facing from the last 2 years, I can say. I hope everyone is fine and their behalf also, if everything is fine in home and everything like healthy. So today my friend told me like we should go ahead with the digital platform and we can give any lectures on that. So I have decided to go ahead with the guided surgery. So we have a lot of different kind of guides. Like some of the parts of that guided surgery I will going to explain by today, and some important features which we have noticed in our experience for the guided surgery, and some of the tips I am going to give to better outcome and the predictable outcome with a guided surgery. So I'm Dr. Anshul, a master in prosthetics, and I have my own laboratory in Surat, India, and we are performing this guided surgery from last 4 years. Uh, and according to our experience, we have created and we have presented some of the protocols so that we are going to doing in a routine base. So I'm going to present that. So why guided surgery is required? As you can see on a screen, the ball is guided with the stick perfectly, then it will reach the goal. So if you have anything like the stick is your drill, if you guide it properly, then you will achieve your goal perfectly and well planned. And everything like at the maximum time, what I have noticed in my country, the implant is from start from A to Z, not Z to A. The planning of the implant should start from Z to A. Means Z means the prosthetic stage, and A means you are going to place which kind of implant, and where you are going to place the implant. So this is the most important factor of any guided surgery. So I just have a small introduction, like types of guides what we have doing in routine with tissue shepherd and tooth and tissue shepherding. Most commonly, two kind of guide are used. Tissue shepherding means completely edentulous patient, and tooth and tissue shepherded means partially edentulous patient. And the new thing what we are doing in our practice is bone supported and implant supported. Why we need this? I'm going to go to this lesson second half. So we have invented this two like according to our practice and requirements. Anything like as I told you, like the on a billiard table or snooker table, if you want to achieve your goal, it should be guided perfectly. So before going to hit your ball, you should select I have to use which kind of stick or I need a double stick to hit the ball. So the prerequisite means any guided surgeries have their own requirement for the create the perfect outcome. So that also we have divided in the three parts: edentulous, partially edentulous, and completely dentulous patients, like in the all periodontally compromised and all teeth you are going to extract and going for the surgery. So this is the requirement. Partially edentulous patients all are more within the clinical impression or clinical intraoral scanning and the CT scan or CBCT. Okay, but the tip I just want to share it with you is like if you have any restorations or any crowns or any bridge or any metallic or any zirconia crowns which is radio opaque, okay, and it will give artifacts in the CBCT. in which what we are doing is we are placing composite balls like this, and then into our scanning and or into our impression, and then we go for a CT scan or a CBCT. So what is the motor behind it? Like this, you will get the artifact as you can see on a second image in the bottom. You will get a lot of artifacts. Still, we can able to see the composite balls, so you can superimpose clinical condition to the radiographic condition. Why we need this superimposition? Because in CT scan we don't have a soft tissue, and the clinical condition we don't have a bone for the implant placement. So we can combine these two input and we can create the guide. So if you have any restoration, the one tip what we are following, like we are creating composite balls with this kind of elevated tip. So like you can match perfectly. Then partial edentulous in which only few teeth are present, but remaining teeth or long span are missing. So in that we are creating the removable partial denture with radiopaque teeth. As you can see on radiographic pictures, there is no root stem, but the teeth you can able to see. So like if you have a teeth, then you have a reference of the future occlusion. Okay, in below image you can see the occlusion. So according to that, you can plan your implant in your software. So we are using the partial edentulous, but long span we are advised to go with the removable partial, and it should be in occlusion. By CBCT, it should be in occlusion. So like you can generate the proper occlusal plane and the guide with the same occlusion. Complete edentulous, everyone know like we can use a radiopaque marker or radiopaque tip on a 4.10, we can go ahead with that. But we are using a radiopaque tip, so we can see the future occlusion as well as we can generate the occlusion. So the same occlusion we are going to give in our guide. So it will occlude onto the surface while doing the surgery. So you have a reference while fixation of guide of occlusion we can take in consideration. So it will fix perfectly by reference of your occlusion. So this is the question like why we are using the radiopaque set. So the same occlusion we are creating in a guide while fixation of the guide. So why we need it? Because when we are complete edentulous patient, if we are placing the guide onto the soft tissue have cushion effect. So if you don't have an antagonist tip or edentulous on an antagonist, then what happens while fixation of the guide? Your guide will be moved on a right side or left side because of the soft tissue. Okay, so when we are fixation pin, if you are inserting and we are giving a torque for the fixation pin, at that time it will move. So to avoid that movement, if you have antagonist tip or antagonist denture, which is have a perfect occlusion, then ask patient to close the mouth and then you fix the fixation pin. So you will get a perfect stability for your guide in reference to that occlusion with the bone. So and why these two images? Like because we have a as I told you, we are using only radiopaque. We are not using a denture with a radiopaque denture base. Because if you are using the base that is radiopaque, then there is a difficult to superimpose your stuff with the CT scan, and you have a inaccuracy in sometimes in bony area. So that's the reason we are using a radiopaque tip or radiopaque marker in case of complete radiopaque scan. And last but not the least is, as I told you, completely dentulous patient. As you can see on the screen, like the teeth are periodontally compromised. Okay, so if you can see, we have cleaned the teeth with the material. Okay, with the bar, sorry, with the wire and the composite. The reason behind it that that is also we are doing it before CT scan. Okay, or a CBCT. The reason is like you need to superimpose your clinical condition with the radiographic condition. Okay, so if the teeth are mobile and if I take an impression, the position of tooth is different and the position of tooth in CBCT is different. So you cannot get a perfect match of both the parts. So in that cases, what we are doing is we are squinting the tooth before going for the CBCT and take into our scan or impression of that condition. So like we will get a perfect match So this is a tip for the completely benchless patient, but all are mobile and we are going for the abstraction. Then the type of the guiding depend on the system, like how we are going to use that guide, the kit system. So I can see there is a most common systems like three. One is you can use the spoon for your drill, okay. But first of all, I will say don't use a freehand kit for the guided surgery. I am not recommending because you need some guidance area. Okay, the freehand kit is like a taper, so you will not get a perfect guidance area for your drill to be inserted. And the cutting edge should not guide with your drill. The guided area is different and cutting area is different. So that's the reason this in this kind of guide, first we have a spoon. Okay, so it will guide your drill. But what is the problem with this? Like the spoon, it will not give you the perfect offset, vertical offset, as well as the spoon have a problem because if it is in a posterior region or 6 or 7 region, you think you have placed perfect spoon in a position, but it will be little out or little cross. Okay, so and you will start your drilling. So it will misguide you. So if you are not using a perfect guided system, you will completely lose your area where you are planning, or even sometimes it is much better to go with the freehand if you don't have a perfect system to do this. Okay, second system is the multiple system. Like it's a system in which you can use a free hand kit, but all the drills require a different skills. So if you have a one case and one size, then you have to use a different 4 or 5 size of this particular for the one implant. So if you have full mouth, then it's going to be almost I think for 30-40 sleeves you have to use the free hand kit for the guided surgery. So the only this is a disadvantage, but overall, if you can able to manage the sleeves problem, then it's also a good system to use it. Third one is the as you can see on the screen, the master guide have a metal sleeves inside. So it's the best system to use it because you don't need to change the sleeves. Just you have to change the drill. So and that is also precisely you can do it because the guiding area is prefabricated and it is a calculated value. So it will give you a perfect position of that. Only the problem with that system is like if the metal sleeves you have to load with the 3D printed resin part. Okay, so there is a chance sometimes it will debond while surgery, but if you use the proper agent, it will bond properly. One second thing I just want to say, like in a disadvantage of this guided area is like if you have a placement of a 6 or 7 region, okay, and if you antagonist with heart region and sometimes because of long redundancy of 6 and 7 area, the antagonist is supra erupted. Okay, so what happened like if you have a drill area and guided area, you don't have a mouth sufficient mouth opening in that area. As you can see in this first diagram, you will not get a sufficient mouth opening to insert this drill. So only this disadvantage of that master drill is like you need a perfect mouth opening so you can insert your drill from the posterior area if you are planning for that surgery. So to avoid that, what you can do is you can after beating you can cut the sleeves on the buccal side. Or one more system by the company Austin is like a sleeveless system, in which like directly your drill is guided with the resin printer side. The only disadvantage of this system is you need a perfect accurate printer, or if you have a printer in which you should have a calculated expansion or calculated resin if you are using, then you will get a perfect output. Then you can best to use this system. In this system, I have one more advantage. Like as you can see, in this we have to go from the occlusal area to the down. But in this, so we can go from the buccal side and then we can down. So we have extra 10 mm to reach to our area. So if we have less mouth opening, also we can do a guided surgery in this kind of patient. Then the great thing like what we have noticed is we have started our guided surgery, then we are placing the implant posterior. Sometimes we see that we have a deviated knee buckle a little linearly or little down than what we have planned. So we have noticed, we go back and we compare with our plan, we superimpose the post-operative CBCT with the pre-operative, and we concluded that like that. See, if you have a distal extension, like there is no tooth in the backside but anterior teeth are present, then it will, the posterior guide will, when you are doing a drilling, it will like a swimming pool jumping back. It will bend from that area, okay, while doing, because of the little flexibility in the resin. So that to avoid that, what we are doing is, before planning of the implant of the CT scan, we are just placing the mini implant on the distal end of that distal extension where we are not planning the implant, and it is go just 2 or 3 mm inside of the bone. So while CT scan, it will be inside of the CT scan. So and it will act as a superimposition of the clinical condition. And while doing the drilling or surgery, it will avoid the flexibility of the guide, because you have both sides, you have a rigid stop for your guide. So it will be a perfect rigidity while doing the drilling. So you will get the perfect result. Even though it will act as a reference while placing the implant in edentulous area, in this area, at that time you will get a reference while planning the implant. So you have a lot of advantage using this marker in the edentulous area. So the condition in which, as I told you, like teeth and a tissue supported condition, in which if you are going to extract all the teeth, then as we have a topic like a 5-in-1 surgical guide, in which like the whatever remaining teeth are present, that we are going to extract, and the same appointment you are placing the implant, and the same appointment you want to insert the prosthetic with the metal acrylic or permanent biosticking or like PSM, that also you can metal ceramic or zirconia, whatever you prefer, you can do it with this protocol. So the protocol, why it's called 5-in-1, that I will just explain you. It has a 5 parts. As you can see on a screen, on a 4 parts, but one part, this is a 2 part, is a PMMA milled, and inside of that the metal bar, which is knitted with the pure resin by the breed end. So total 5 parts. First part is like a base guide. It's called a master guide. Okay, that is a fix before and doing any extraction of the tooth. So how you fix it? So you need a reference to fix it. So for that we have a splint like a guide. So it is a screw written onto this master guide. Okay, with the screw written, with the help of screw, it is screw written onto the master guide. Okay, and then the reference of this teeth we are fixing with the lateral pin with the bone this master guide. So while fixing of the master guide, we have reference from a natural remaining teeth. Okay, it's the advantage why we need a natural remaining teeth, because the teeth have a reference with the bone. Okay, so if you're doing anything in reference to other thing, then it will be your same parallelism. Like as we are doing a surveyor, we have one table and one is the arm. So if the table is working with the arm in the reference. Okay, so the reference, if you have a strong reference, then you will get the perfect parallelism of what you have planned. So in this, the before extraction, we are using this sheet as a reference to fix this master guide. So whatever what we have planned, which is according to this natural remaining teeth. Okay, after fixation of the master guide, we open up the screw, take it out this part, and then fix this part on this master guide. Before fixing of that, we just extract all the tooth. So now my base is not this edentulous area, my base is this master guide. So my guide, everything what I'm doing is with this. Okay, I don't have any relation with the remaining soft tissue beneath the tooth area or the crestal area, okay, or a hard tissue. Just we are doing everything in the reference of this. We are drilling, do all drilling, insert the implant, then screw, open up the this guide, place the abutment, okay, place the metal cylinder, and then we insert the prosthetic part. With the help of screw, we are screwing it up, and we can do this with the metal cylinder. And we take it, everything we will take it out outside except implant. We open up the metal cylinder screws and take it out everything, and then we polish it up. And same appointment, we can insert the prosthetic with the prosthetic occlusion. So I will just go through this case presentation. The guided surgery, the first part, as I told you, we fix it with the splint with the master guide. Okay. Then we open up the splint. My master guide is fixed to the board. Then I will extract the tooth, place my drilling guide. I do all drilling inside the implant. Then I will fix my bar and the prosthetic. So everything we can do it on a same day. So the case by Dr. Neil Patel in which we have planned, as you can see on the screen. Okay, so my five parts, as I told you, all parts are connected. As I told you, the screw is with the master guide. Okay, so the master guide, then the sling guide, then the drilling guide, and the prosthetic. So on the day of surgery, the evidence you can see on the screen, some of the necessities are present. We fix the master guide in the reference of the remaining natural teeth. We open up the splint area which, because it is screwed then onto the master guide. Okay, now we extract the tooth and fix the drilling guide. Then we do a drilling, insert the implant, place the multi-unit abutment, what we have planned it. Then fix the metal cylinder on the top. Till this shape, you can see the master guide inside of the mouth, as you can see. Then we fix the prosthetic in reference to this master guide and the metal cylinder, which is created a vent inside of that. And we pick it up with the luting agent, the resin cement or pure resin, whatever you feel to use it over there. And then we take it out, we clean up the extra cement, we cut off the extension, we polish up, and same day we insert the prosthetic. So it's the same appointment we finish up the job for the lower, and that is also metal acrylic or not only 3D printed. So there is a time it will get fractured while the healing time. Then we start next day we start on the upper jaw, in which also we have planned the partial extraction therapy, in which we are extracting the tooth wherever all the things we are going to extract because everything is compromised. But some of the teeth have a good base area, so that we are going to preserve, and the buccal we are going to split it on the two part, buccal part and the lingual part, or the root portion and the lingual part. We take it out, and then we are going to do a guided surgery. So what we have planned is the partial extraction therapy. So we insert the prosthetic according to that. So this is like a pre-operative and this post-operative. Then because as I told you, we are following the doing the partial extraction therapy. We got a multiple direction, as you can see, all have different directions. If I have planned, if I have placed according to my plan, why it happened? But it is previously calculated, like we want to preserve the buccal bone. So that's the reason we are preserving the buccal self of the teeth and we are placing it down. So we can plan the prosthetic, future prosthetic. Like if we are not placing in a perfect angulation, but how we can create the prosthetic, we can compensate our angulation. So as you can see, it's OT equator by the RAIN 83, in which it has a own ability to compensate the 15-degree. And plus we have created the angulated equator. Okay, it's called pod abutment by the Austin. Okay, on the top is the equator. So we have converted into the equator. So it has a 70-degree, 30-degree plus or minus 15-degree. If I have 30-degree of angulation, then I can compensate from 15 to 45 degrees. So there is a range 15 to 45, not only 30. If you have a complete multi-unit abutment or any abutment, it has its own limitation because it has only compensate 30 degrees. It cannot compensate 35 or it cannot compensate 25 degrees of angulation. So to avoid that problem, if I have using the tilted concept, okay, if my implant is tilted mesodistally 30 degrees, fine, I can compensate that angulation. But as you can see, any upper cases, okay, maximum time you will get the angulation, one angulation 10-degree buccolingual and the 20 or 30 degree what you have planned mesodistal. So if you have a 10-degree buccolingual from midline, okay, so if you want to connect right side to left side, you have difference of 20 degrees. Okay, buccolingual and mesodistal 30 degree what we have planned for the tilted concept. So if you are going to use the same multi-unit abutment for the same patient, then there is a chance you have it will fit inside of patient mouth. But the small screw which we are using on the top of the multi-unit abutment, you will get a less number of rotation to insert it. One or two rotation it will stuck because it will not get a path because you are nearby angulation, but you are not perfect to the angulation of your prosthetic. So it is not, you feel like it is a passive, but it is passive, it is not a passive, it is active because your screw is just engaging. It will not completely do a six rotation of that inside. And there is a chance like one or two screws are getting loosened up and remaining load will be on a perfectly placed implant. So that's to avoid that, we are using this OT equator concept by the Rain APC company, in which it has it's like an elastic, like it will fit like over denser plus it's a screw retaining. So how it is going to be, I'm just going to share you some image so you can get an idea. So as the same case, you can see the lower we are using the multi because all have a perfect parallelism. So we don't want to go for the spatial abutment. So in the same case, as you have seen the guided surgery, for the finer prosthetic, we have used a bar CT for the same case. So for lower, we have used a multi abutment. Transfer. So this is the prosthetic, the screw with the base. Then this is the upper prosthetic. It will click onto the up model, then the screw rotate, and this is the final product. So how it works, that I'm going to show. It's going to be a click first. Okay, so now it's like a word and it's click. Now we can insert the screw. So it have a two log. One is click and the second is screw. So the whatever the angulation deviation is compensated by the elastic, and the screw will give additional advantage of the stability. And the elastic will also act as a stress breaker. So whatever the stress is generating lateral, especially in lateral forces, it will compensate by the elastic. So it will reduce, I can say, by the elastic. So it will the additional advantage of this system. And even if by one or two screws got loosened up, there is no issue. The prosthetic will not move from its own position. That's one more additional advantage of this system. So this is the prosthetic we are using for this time. So that is planned before the surgery. So if you have guided surgery, then you can plan everything from start to placement of implant to the end of the prosthetic. So this is the clinical. Without screwing up, it got time. Then I have to insert the screw. So it's the final output. Yeah. Now once again we come to the guided surgery. Most of the time we have edentulous condition in which maximum time I have seen or noticed people are using this kind of guide. As you can see on a screen, there is no occlusion guidance. If you there is no contact the upper guide with the lower guide. So what happened, like as I told you before my lecture, if you are using this kind of guide, we are facing a lot of strategy or surgery using this kind of guide. We notice a lot of problems. Then we checked why this creating the problem. Then we checked the one case. We fix the guide and send it for the CBCT and we check it out. So in anterior region where we have a proper bone height, we will get a perfect position of our guide. But as you can see in upper area, there is a soft tissue attachment little high. So what happens? It will deflect the guide, and we have planned in the center of the bone, but we are going little bit lingual to the bone. So this is the problem which we have noticed while see. So that's why we thought upon it why this going to be happen. So while we have checked it out, so we noticed like while fixation of guide we have a trouble. So that's the reason you need anything rigid while doing a fixation with the antagonist. Okay, so if you have a natural antagonist fix, then it's fine. You have to create the occlusion inside of the guide. As you can see, we have this is my guide. We have create complete occlusion with the antagonist by fixation of that guide, and then the same guide we have a drilling area inside of that. But in some condition where you cannot, your occlusion plane is little bit higher than your drilling area, then you need a fine one guide. As I told you, the solution for that condition. So why we are not using this routinely? Because if you have one arch edentulous, then definitely you can go with this standard, right? But you have both upper and lower arch edentulous, then we'll advise you go ahead with the bone level guide either, or you have to place a radiopaque marker perfectly in occlusion, or third one is the radiopaque pin inside of the bone. So that's the main motto for complete edentulous patient. So as I told you, like radiopaque marker, like the tooth, and the radiopaque pins for the reference. So on a day of before surgery, you fix it, you go for the CT scan, you plan your implant. On a day of surgery, you fix your master guide in reference of this pin. Take out the pin, okay, in reference of this pin, the master guide is fused, and then you take out the pin and then insert the implant. So on a day of surgery, you will get the perfect result according to what you have planned. In this condition, if you are using a tissue level, you can see there is no attached gingiva in periphery. So what happens, like while fixation of guide, the tissue only reflect the position of your guide. So that's the reason I will suggest you to go ahead with this kind of tips and techniques for this kind of particular cases. Then as I told you, like in beginning, like we need a bone supported guide. So it's to be surprised for so many audience when I'm in this lecture. So why we use this kind of guide? So the reason behind it, so many conditions in which you need a rigidity while the guide. As I told you, if you have a soft tissue, if you place your guide, as I told you in distal extent or complete edentulous patient. So if you are placing your guide onto the tissue, then what's the problem? As you can see on a screen, if you are sitting onto the balloon, you will not get a perfect stability while they're sitting. Okay, you will drag right side or a left side or back side, any side you can deviate. Okay, so in this condition where there is no scope of any tolerance, any allowance, like you are nearby the canal, or if you are doing a sinus surgery, or if you are doing no lateralization guide, or if you are doing your implant have a 6 mm or 7 mm height, and you are just touching the lingual cortex, and if you are going beyond that, you can perforate the lingual cortex. So in that kind of cases, I will suggest you to go ahead with the bone level guide. So as you can see, the bone level guide. Many of them have a question why you have created in metal printing. Okay, so the reason behind it, we can do a resin printing, but you have to create that rigid, like you have to increase the thickness of your guide to stabilize onto the bone, because your whatever tissue what you have reflected, it will push your guide. Okay, so if you want to avoid that, I have to create a guide like that. It has a less tissue support, less bone support, but it should be a rigid. If I create with the resin, then what happens while surgery, there is a chance it will get fracture, and some of the case we have noticed that also. So to shift that protocol onto the metal behind that, you will get the same more rigidity, but less extension with a thinner extension in the bone area. So there is no need to reflect much tissue, and you can do a guided surgery. As you can see on the screen, if we have only just this much of extension stability onto the bone here, and yeah, only 3 points, and we just stabilize the guide. Okay, so the remaining guide will connected with this rod, so you will get a proper rigidity while filling. Why we need this in this case particular? Because as you can see, we don't want to perforate this area, but we want to engage this area. Okay, the second cortex we want to engage. So that's the reason we have planned this particular case with the metal guide. So if you have anything rigid to rigid, like you are facing the metal to metal, or you are facing anything, you are sitting on a wood chair, okay, compared to the cushion chair, okay, or a sofa. So you will get the more stability while you are sitting on the wooden chair. So like that, the same motto we are following, the same principle we are following to create the bone level guide. The second one is like like some of the cases, as you can see, we need a bone flattening. We are planning the implant little bit down than the crest. So definitely you need a bone level guide, as you can see on the bone. It's bone level guide. This is also one interesting case I want to share with you, in which the maxilla have a lot of atrophic bones. So very thin bone in the maxilla. So we have planned the customized implant with the prosthetic on a same day insertion of prosthetic. And the lower we are planning a fine one guide as I told you before, but in which we are going to do a bone flattening as well because the crest is very thin. So we want to plan the implant a little bit down from the crest. So the interesting case in which like the same day we have everything planned before the surgery. The abutment selection, the prosthetic, everything is planned before the surgery. So on a day of surgery, we are inserting the prosthetic as well. So for the customized implant, we are doing the bone cutting. So like we are place our implant 4 to 5 mm little bit down, then the crested area. So like we can avoid the exposure of the frame in this kind of implant. And the lower we have planned the conventional implant, which we are going to do a guided surgery. So this is the lower guide, the bone flattening in anterior region. Okay, it's a bone flattening guide. On the top of that, the drilling guide in which implant insertion, the metal bar, and the prosthetic. So everything we plan on the same way. So as we go, bone flattening guide, the implant for the upper, then the lower guide, and the complete set. So on the day of surgery incision for the we start with the lower because we have a reference for the upper. It's going to be stable. So start with the lower. We fix the lower guide onto the bone level. Okay, because we want to do a bone flattening, as you can see on the screen, there is a window that we have to trim it off to place the implant. As you can see, it's very sharp on the crest. So we have to trim off this much of bone to place the implant a little bit down. So after using a piezo to remove the bone, we are just trimming with the arrow to just give the shape at the area of the guide. So we are not little bit higher than our level what we have decided. So this is after bone flattening. Then as I told you, screw return drilling guide. We insert we are doing the drilling from that guide. As you can see, it is so much of stable. We are not touching the guide. We are just doing a drilling without holding the guide or without placing anything on the guide because it is stable onto the bone with the stability pins, and the master guide is stable with the drilling guide is stable with the master guide with the screw return. So there are a lot of stability, as you can see. Even though we have a lot of torque inside of the while inserting the implant, still it will not move on its place. So this is the guide, find one guide with the screws and assembly to stabilize the stackable portion. So after that, we place the implant, we place the abutment on the top, OT bridge equator, same abutment. As you can see, my master guide still inside of the mouth. Then we place the metal cylinder. Then as I told you, we have metal acrylic prosthetic which is ready before surgery. So we place it onto the position on the master guide, and all the metal cylinder inside of this prosthetic we give a slot for that. We lute it inside of the mouth. The inner reference of our master guide, as you can see, the master guide have a reference. So in a reference of the master guide, so we'll get a perfect occlusion for what we have planned. So as you can see, we lute it out. Then we cut the extensions. As you can see on the screen, we cut the extensions, we polish it up, and we remove all excess cement. And the same appointment, we just insert the prosthetic. Okay, now we are going to start with the upper case, as I told you, customized implant, bone flattening guide. Then after bone flattening, we place the implant, and that as I told you, we have planned in occlusion. You can see what we have planned, what we have achieved. So it's the same occlusion what we have planned and what we have achieved. So that's the advantage of digital technology. So we close it, and the same appointment we insert the prosthetic, and this is the post-operative CT scan, and this is the OPG of the same patient. As you can see, we have planned the upper abutment the same position lower implant. So that is only possible with the digital technology. I'm happy to share it with you. And not routinely used, but most of the time, like newcomers or that they want to create the direct sinuses and they want to create the opening for the sinuses. So it's a sinus window we can use. So same guide, we can place it on a bone level to create the sinus window for that. And the same guide you can insert the implant, and then that window you can do a bone grafting. So that it should be on onto the bone, so you can avoid the trouble. Also, one more advantage, like even though you are going to do a direct sinus tube, so you are going to open the flap, so you can use this onto the bone. And as I told you, it should be metal, so you will get a perfect stability, as well as while drilling or while doing a window, we are using a piezo or any drill or any kit, it will not worn out while doing the drilling. And one more additional advantage, it is in metal, so you can do autoclave or whatever the sterilization protocol you are following for your drills or your implants, you can follow the sterilization protocol for that site. So this guide also should be on a metal and a bone layer. So that's the reason the bone layer guide is more important maximum conditions, as I think so. So any guided surgery before finishing up my presentation, I can say there is a three master, like I can say the master key is like three minimum rigid stop required. Okay, it means like anything say rigid stop which is coming from to the bone into the clinical conditions like about the gums, like either you have a natural tooth is remaining, or either you will take any radiopaque marker in the denture with a proper occlusion, or you can take the mini implants which have radio opacity in that, on which is coming out from the bone. And if you are taking it as a reference to create the guide, then you will get a much better result, as if you have a 1 6 is missing and 7 and 4 6 5 4 5 and 7 are present. If you are creating right, you will get a perfect result because you have a reference of natural tooth which is connected with the bone. Okay, so if you are doing anything in the connected with the bone, then you will get a perfect result. So the master key of what we have noticed for the any guided surgery is like minimum three rigid stop is required. If you have more rigid stop, it's fine. You can take it as an advantage, but minimum three rigid stop you have to create if you want the perfect guided surgery result. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anshul. Thank you for your interesting information you share with us. And we are wishing to meet with you in very soon in upcoming events, and maybe also in Dubai. We can also make some practical training.
Sure, sure.
Thank you. I don't find any questions. Maybe if there is any question, I will share with you on the WhatsApp.
Sure, sure. So maybe it's a little bit higher from them, I feel. We have to side with the basic implantology, like a guided surgery, and then they can much understand the topic. But the advanced guided technology for the full mouth rehabilitation.
Perfect. Super. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing with us, and we wish to meet with you in near future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.